Hi everyone, welcome. This is our very first chat for Fabric Dreamer. I'm very excited to start this. It's just going to be a very, very casual series of chats with women that I find inspiring, that I know you will too. We all love a good journey story. And so today, to kick things off, I'm speaking to my dear friend Morgan. Morgan waits out of Melbourne, and she's one of my most creative friends. She's one of these women that are just very, very good at everything they do, but highly creative, highly intelligent, and such a beautiful human. And her latest venture is Lovers Eclectica, which is just gorgeous objects. But I want to sort of unearth Morgan's story a little bit for you. So we'll get Morgan on. So here's Morgan. Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you going, Anna?
I'm good. It's so nice to see your beautiful face.
It's so nice to see your face as well. And I'm so glad we got to see each other in person a couple of weeks ago as well.
I know, because when does that happen, that you're in Adelaide and you can come and have cups of tea with me?
You know
It's
what?
very exciting.
It's going to happen more often now.
Very, very cool. So very excited that you're the first person on Fabric Dreamer podcast. It's not actually a podcast. We're doing
I'm
very
so
cool
honored.
chats in our studios. But for people, I think a few people will know you and know your work, but for the people that haven't ever met you, don't know what you do, I just want to say that I met Morgan. I think we're both raised in Mildura, so we're Mildura girls. And I had moved back, and we were both working for a local magazine.
That was probably 10 years ago. Sorry.
Yeah. So quite a chunk of time ago, I was styling. You were photographing.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not a word. You're the photographer.
Doing the photos. I was photoing.
You were photoing. But at that point, you were definitely a photographer. But can you sort of catch us up to speed with what, like, from then to now, what have you been doing? And you've now launched a whole new venture. So
well, I guess so basically I've been doing photography for over 10 years now, like 12, 13, 14 years. And I think I've always identified as a photographer. And I think in the last few years, I've kind of felt like it hasn't really been I think as fulfilling as it was. And I think that's the thing, it just wasn't kind of fulfilling in the same way that I felt that kind of spark at the start. And I think sometimes that happens when you have to basically monetize what you love to do, rather than you just do it for a passion and because you love it. When you have to pay your bills that way, you can very easily kind of lose that spark. So essentially in the last couple of years, obviously due to COVID, I haven't been able to work. So, and it was really hard because we're here in Victoria, this is what we're 6 lockdowns in. So it was really hard, and I had to kind of grapple with things being cancelled, things being rescheduled, and we kind of had to think of a new kind of venture that we could start, obviously, through multiple lockdowns. And so now my husband and I, Rockney, we own the Lovers Eclectica, which is a homewares brand. Which is beautiful.
But you've got such a vintage eye that you bring everything into the modern. But was there a twinkle in the eye about Lovers a while ago?
There was. I think I kind of started off thinking that maybe I'd go down maybe a little bit more of a fashion kind of jewelry route. And then it kind of, I'm very blessed. My husband Rockney is super handy and very arty, and he also doesn't say no to me that much. So
we love Rockney.
We just love him. God bless. He's very agreeable. And I think we kind of we fell into it because I started restoring vintage finds that I found. in like antique shops and op
Because
shops and
we
vintage
also
shops.
need to label you as an op shop queen. Like you're the queen of
Uh-huh.
the things that
I,
you
lit-
find. Seriously.
I dream about them.
Yeah.
I literally dream about it. It's ridiculous. Like the perfect op shop. I've had that dream and I've woken up and been like, oh,
And what
what
did
a
you
shame.
find? Because you find some really good things.
What, in my dream or
Yeah,
in
what did
real
you
life?
find in your dream?
Wow. Actually, I found the most beautiful vintage print in my dream. Can't really remember now, but it kind of had this like boho kind of braided mat around it. It was very cool. And I woke
Wow.
up and I was so disappointed. But honestly, for me, a lot of the time it's pottery. It's just, I mean, I've got a house full of pots and we sell pots, but yeah, I'm addicted. I'm addicted to a beautiful pot.
And you were such a, you're just like a potter woman. You're this beautiful, crafty potter woman. Talk us through a day with you and your lovely creative husband, because you also have the Waits Collective.
Yes.
The Waits Collective.
So basically we take on creative design projects for businesses and residential architecture and creative kind of like interior design and things like that. So essentially, because Rockney's background is architecture, we work with companies and businesses and people and builders, and essentially, yeah, we create their spaces. So right now we have in process a cafe that we've designed and rendered, and we have a ramen bar, which is really exciting. Like yeah, so that's very cool. That's hopefully it'll be up and running in a couple of months. So, and yeah, we've got a couple more kind of more commercial stuff at the moment, which is quite cool because I think you can be super creative with commercial spaces. So I love doing that as well. And I think we were kind of like we've kind of fallen into that in a really like, I guess, like a sustainable way for us, because all of the things that we do are kind of full-time jobs, but obviously we've got to sleep at some point. So, we're very selective with what we take on with that kind of side, because it could get really like intense. So yeah. So we do that as well.
I've always loved about you, and so far from how I'm wired, is that you have such a gentle pace about you, and you just do things. You're so in tune with what your limits are, and you just have a nice pace about it. So how is that internally for you? How is that when you guys go about your day? Like, is it more organic, or are you setting yourselves boundaries? Or talk us through a work day for.
Well, I mean, to be honest, this is something that like I'm still working on, because I can get super kind of frenetic and crazy. And when you have so many things you have to keep pivoting between, it can get really hectic and it can be exceptionally tiring. So this is something that I'm still kind of learning how to do, especially when you've got deadlines kind of being thrown at you all the time, and and getting orders out and etc. So basically, yeah, our days are really, really varied. A lot of the time we'll kind of wake up in the morning, we'll check our orders, we'll generally have a business meeting, which involves a coffee, which a spicy icy. We have to have a spicy icy, so a dirty chai. And we basically, we just go over everything we need to. And yeah, it can vary so much, because like we've got like it's shooting content, it's fulfilling wholesale orders, it's doing private orders, deliveries. And also too, we have a whole heap of time where we kind of dream up new ideas, where we get really excited and pumped, and we run around the house and just go mental, and then we kind of fall down in a heap. But so it can vary from day to day. Like every day is different, which I think is something I need, because I couldn't do like a 9 to 5.
No. No,
I
I
couldn't
can't
do
see you
that.
doing that. And I've seen you on your, like, we've journeyed a lot creatively and had many, many
Yeah.
chats, which has been amazing. And something that I know that you have struggled with, as have I, has been that very thing of sort of creative vision burnout. When is that the sort of the money, the creative, and it's that fine tuning? What would you, there's always going to be a transition point, and can you talk us a little bit through your transition from, because you were doing a lot of bridal photography, which, you know, talk us through what that was like, and then just deciding that you were enough to take a risk, step into something new, even though it may not have had the price tag of a bridal shoot. But
Yeah.
because I think there's so many people with great ideas that just feel, they feel like they're a slave to their job because they have to.
Yeah.
And we all know that bills have to be paid, but not at the cost of your soul.
Yeah.
What was
I
that like for
completely
you, making that decision?
Well, I think it was kind of not forced upon or like thrust upon me, but I think I'm a firm believer in, like, if you put something out to the universe and you don't take it on yourself, the universe will kick you out that door, you know, like it'll happen. So you either choose to do it in a gentle paced way and you do it yourself, or the universe kind of goes, no, like we're changing right now. So I feel like the last few years I've really been creatively burnt out. And like I said, yeah, we were saying like that comes from having to kind of monetize what you want to do at the sacrifice of the creative aspect. And that's fine because, like, you know, obviously especially if we're talking about photography, like a brand has a brief and you might see the brief being maybe not as spectacular as it could be, but you really need to kind of respect that, or you know you're not going to get paid. They might not see it the same way. So I feel like it was kind of like change or melt down into a puddle. And I think that I always would have pivoted into another creative field because I couldn't see myself doing anything else. But yeah, I think for me as well, I've really struggled with imposter syndrome. And I think we've chatted about this before. Like it's very hard when you're like a creative person making money through your creativity. It's really hard to kind of put a label on it and feel like you're enough when it feels like an extension of your soul kind of coming out.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
In a non like poetic way of saying it. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people in creative fields find it really, really hard to label themselves as what they are because they feel like they're not enough.
There's always room for change and new direction.
Yeah.
Like the way that you're capturing your pottery, not pottery.
Well, yeah, we have pottery. We have like a lot of plastic products.
It's such a beautiful fusion of what you did, like photography, or you still do it. But then how you, like, surely that is that filling your cup when you get to shoot your own product? Is that
it's very different. It's very different because I still put a lot of pressure on myself. But unfortunately, like the thing is, when you're kind of running a business like this, you have so little time to dedicate to doing something like that. So I just have to like snap and go. And it's almost like you kind of rely on like your own kind of instinct rather than, you don't have 45 minutes to set up a shot or the light, or you just have to find a really beautiful patch of light and you're like, gonna have to do like, let's go, like need to keep going. So I think it really takes that like it then becomes more spontaneous again, which is I think what I loved about photography anyway, was, you know, the fact that you catch, especially like because obviously I was more people based, you know, like catching somebody in super beautiful light, in, you know, you kind of just see it and you're like, that's it, like that's the shot, because the light just hits at the perfect moment. Whereas like obviously if you've got a, you know, a job that you need to fulfill, it doesn't matter what the weather's like, what the light's like, you've got to get it done and you've got to make it look acceptable and good, you know. So I think, yeah, it's kind of brought back the spontaneity, and it's also given me a break from it as well, which is, it's really good. And also too, like, I also think with a lot of people who are obviously like self-employed, or freelancing, or a creative anyway, that they've had to kind of build up their career off their own backs. I think that a lot of people who are in these roles, they find it really hard to pivot away from them, because they kind of, I mean, this is only my personal experience, but I feel like with me, I almost felt guilty not shooting as much, because it's like, but everybody knows I'm a photographer and I've been doing this for 30 and I've built this, and it's like, in real life, people change jobs all the time. People change careers. People's careers adapt. But I think sometimes when you get a person who's built up what they do, you kind of feel like you have to stick with it because you've worked so hard to be that thing.
Yeah, it's so woven into your identity, and then it's sort of, you feel like you're letting other people down when you say, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah, you almost feel like a fraud. Like, you're like, I know I took this really, really seriously and I did this, but everyone was like, oh, you just can't, just gave it up. It's like, well, no, people are allowed to expand.
And that's
you know?
the beautiful thing about having your own thing, is that you get to direct it however you like. So I want to know one challenge that you guys have faced, and something really inspiring that you can pass on to people that are watching. So something that left field challenge that you and Rockney have experienced through going down this path. Is there anything that stands out?
Well, I think time management is really where we have worked and also need to keep working, because it's really easy to be juggling, and you know, and as soon as you drop one ball, it's kind of all over the whole, you know, like that's it. So I think also too, being gentle with ourselves, because when you're your own kind of sounding board and critic, that voice can get really, really mean really, really, really quickly. And I've had to catch I really did kind of think a couple of months ago, I did something and I was like, oh my God, like, you idiot, basically, in less polite terms. And I kind of thought about it and I was like, if somebody talked to me like that, I wouldn't talk to them. If a boss talked to me like that, I wouldn't be in that job. Like if I had a friend who talked to me the way I talk to myself, like we wouldn't be friends. Like why is it okay for me to be so harsh on myself? That's not on. So I think, like that kind of, that changing that narrative. And when you kind of don't have a sounding board, you can be really hard on yourself and put a lot of pressure on yourself. So I'd say that for maybe us is just kind of now taking a breather and realizing we aren't robots.
No, you're beautiful, creative people making incredible things. And what does that feel like? I think for you to see, like, you go to your website and all the vases alone, like, they're incredible. They're just they're fun, they're beautiful, they look like something you might find in grandma's house. Shipping that out must give you such a joy, like a sense of yay, bloody yay.
Yeah, I think it's like there's always, because you know, the postal service in this country is brutal, to say the least. So there's always like a lot of intrepidation. But honestly, when people like tag us in their stories or like tag us in their beautiful photography, and it honestly, like, it it makes it real because it takes it out of, well, even just off a web page and into somebody else's home. And honestly, I still get such a buzz from that, because it's the most incredible feeling to see other people and their visions kind of bringing our pieces to life. It's mind blowing and mind boggling to be like, we made that, and
That's
now that's
so
like
good.
somebody's house. So
I want to ask you a question, because I know what sort of person you're like, but I want to go back into like Little Morgan days. Was this on the radar? Like, did you have a vision of like who adult Morgan would be, and was this part of it?
No, because when I finished school, I thought I was going to go and study performing arts and become a director. So that was my kind of like, that was my passion. And then my gap year turned into 2 gap years, and I didn't kind of do it. And I don't think it would have been right for me anyway. But honestly, I've always had a passion for like interior design and antiques, which I got from my mum, and op shopping, and so I think it was like a natural transition. But I honestly, I mean, this is like 10, 15 years ago, this wasn't a thing, like we didn't really have online shopping. So it's kind of like opened up this whole new world that I don't even think I could have comprehended back when I was finishing school.
Yeah, and I think it's so cool that you, like, little inspiring pieces that you've taken or found in op shops, you can produce something inspired by that and make it more commercial, where not everybody likes to go op shopping. I've got friends that think it's the grossest thing ever, whereas I love it. But there's people that just like, no, thank you.
Yeah, it's so weird. Can't relate. Absolutely not.
I would love to talk to you all day long, and please come back and have another cup of tea on my balcony. But I didn't write in my notes. I've got notes and I haven't looked at them. I actually need to figure out where to look on the screen. But where can people find you? What's your Instagram handle?
So our Instagram is The Lovers Eclectica. And so it's a big name. It's a big name, but it's stuck. But so we're there. And I have my Blessed Pixels as well, which is my personal Instagram, but I've been exceptionally slack on there. So
and last 3 questions. Favorite cocktail?
Oh, an amaretto sour.
Yes. Coffee order?
Oh, do you know, I'm pretty plain. Just a latte, just straight latte. Beautiful. I'm happy.
And you're a makeup girl. What is your go-to lipstick?
Oh, okay. So Mecca have their own brand, and there is, they do their own. I can't remember the actual name of it. I think it's like Nasty Gal or something like that, or Mean Girl, something like that. And it's kind of a dupe of a lipstick I used to buy, and they don't make anymore. And I've been through, I think, 3 or 4 tubes. It's a perfect nude. I'm wearing it right now.
Amazing. Awesome. I'm going to have to go. I can hear my kids running around. I'm going to have to go. It was so lovely to chat to you.
It was so lovely.
You're going to love looking on your website. What was your website? Sorry.
It's just thelovers.com.au.
Thelovers.com.au. Amazing.
Oh,
I will chat to you soon.
All right. Bye, beautiful.
Bye.